Episode 43. Got RJ here. Sugar Shane's back.
Yeah, I'm back.
It's nice to see you, Shug.
Right,
Kyle Cheeseman, the left-hand man today.
Yep.
Got him on the left side. Then we got two studs in the room, which makes me go back. Back to the iMoto days, back to the announcing at Dade City Motocross. AJ Meadows, Jack Sigismondi, good to have you boys.
Nice to be here.
Yep, we're gonna get into some things with you two. We're gonna get down, peel the layers off, and get going. But I want to start off real quick here. I want to give a little background. You two, I want to know, growing up racing. We're gonna go straight into the history of when you started riding, how you started riding, where you started riding. Give me, Jack, you go first. Give me the intro to Jack and motocross.
All right, so yeah, my dad, obviously, that's how most of us get into it, our fathers. So my dad was racing. We moved from New Jersey to Florida, and then when I was in New Jersey, I was kind of a bit younger to start racing. Up there, they had different laws. So we moved to Florida. My dad was doing freestyle motocross stuff. So I started off like jumping ramps and doing stuff like that. Didn't ride much. My dad, when we moved to Florida, he started doing like local stuff, Dade City. He did the Florida Trail Riders Motocross Series at the time.
Yep.
And then he got me into it. I was probably like 11 or 12. Started racing local at Dade City, turned into the Gold Cup thing, turned into Winter Am. He kind of stopped racing. I took off, raced a lot of amateur stuff, did arena cross, did some supercross and stuff overseas, and yeah, just rode a lot. And that was kind of like my dirt bike stuff. And now Tampa MX and...
Well, we're gonna get into all that, but I'm gonna jump over here to AJ. Tell me your intro to moto.
My dad did, he rode a little bit, not much, but we started off at Bartow, actually. We would ride Bartow all the time. Grew up racing over there, and then once I got to like 2006, 65s, went to Dade City, started racing the Dade City stuff, and then from there it kind of went into, you know, the Gold Cups, Winter Ams, Loretta's, Minios, doing all the bigger stuff, and then that was pretty much it. Did Minios, did a couple of arena crosses, not many. That's about it.
Yeah.
Stopped racing.
So you born and raised in Florida?
Yep.
You moved down from New Jersey, and you kind of moved into the Central Florida area?
Yep, moved to Spring Hill right away. So
Okay.
At what age?
I believe I was like 9 or 10. So I was pretty young.
So did you guys grow up racing together?
He's a little older, but yeah, we grew up. He almost, at one certain point, he was taking me to tracks and stuff like that because he was driving and I wasn't. So he would drive, we would load up the bikes together. He would drive me to the tracks.
Okay.
Yeah.
My first experience with AJ was I was just starting getting into the Dade City racing. And I was at the starting line at Dade City, how everyone goes, and like the 185 group went before the other, or 65s or whatever. He came in off his 65, hopped on an 85, could not touch. And I remember his dad like saying to me at the line, he's like, yeah, he's new to this bike. And dude, there was like, looking back, it was probably a super small step up. And I remember him jumping past me on this step up, this kid that like could barely touch the foot pegs, smoked past me and made me feel like such an idiot. And then now
I was a jumper, dude. That's what I like.
This kid, yeah, like it was not, looking back, it probably wasn't a big step up. But like for me at the time, like I went from jumping freestyle ramps, which is crazy, but like you get to a track and there's like a rut and you're like, oh, what is this? Like there's dirt and ruts. Like couldn't do it. And he just jumps, man, wheel taps past me. Yeah. And yeah, it's like nuts to think about now today.
So Kyle, we don't need to get into specific ages on air, but where do you fit in between these two clowns?
I'm a little younger than both of them. Mm-hmm. So Jack's a little older than AJ, and I'm a little younger than AJ. So
was there any point in here, which I want to get into later, but was there any point in here where all three of you were on the track at the same time?
Yes.
I don't think all three. I know me and
maybe not Jack.
I think Jack was older.
I did race Jack at certain points, but I also raced.
I can think of one time.
I knew this was coming up.
Well, before I get into that, because that's what I want to segue into, you talked about racing locally, Gold Cups, Winter Ams, both of you.
Yeah.
Did you guys, you mentioned Loretta's. Jack, did you do Loretta's?
I did Loretta's one time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any other major nationals? Like
just Minios and stuff. I think like I did do Minios 10 and 11. I think in 11 or 10, one of the years I got like 5th in an Open C or something like that. Yeah. But there wasn't. And I did, Open A too. I raced in Open A. I think, I don't remember what it was. I might have got top 10, but.
I did a bunch of Minios stuff. I did Minios
year after year?
Anytime I wasn't hurt, I pretty much did mini-O's.
Did you travel anywhere outside besides Loretta's?
Yeah, I did. I mean, nothing crazy.
Like Ponca
A
or
lot of
any-
stuff in Georgia. No Ponca. I never do Ponca.
I'm just curious. I'm just curious because you're talking about amateur stuff and coming up. You know, a lot of local stuff in Florida. You've named off Bartow.
Yeah.
You know, all the Winter Ams, Gold Cups. You know, Wincur the Unlimited Sports Series.
Florida
you know,
series. All
yeah,
Rest in peace, Bartow.
yeah, no doubt.
Bartow was
fun.
good back in when I was there. It was pretty awesome.
They're building like a tilt wall warehouse on top of that thing right now.
So now let's lead into this because this is where it gets interesting for me. The three of you, Kyle, AJ, Jack, who was the fastest out of the three?
It's
It
we were
depends on
such.
the track, honestly. If it's Dade City, you can put me on the bottom of the list. I'm gonna be
think-
honest.
I
I'm gonna be
think
straight
it's-
up.
Because of the soil.
I
Not-
think
not
we-
just the soil, but just like, dude, something about Dade City, I just did not.
I think we
couldn't
all had
get
our
there.
different time to where like, okay, I might have been fastest at this point. Where I think if we were all at our fastest point, I don't know who it would be.
AJ.
That's a third-party question.
I was pretty
AJ.
good at times, but I was injured so much.
Yeah.
Like
Did any of the Dade City racing, was that any of the Vortex Lights
I won
sponsor
Vortex
group?
Oh, he was definitely. If you were gonna put Vortex lights on it, AJ's got the.
Did you race
Yeah.
that too?
I did. Yeah, I did like Sponsors Cup and Vortex.
Was it at the same time as them or were you the year after?
I think he was the same time as me.
Yeah. Yeah, I raced AJ in that class, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So AJ took the
Yeah, I
championship.
mean,
Definitely.
like I said, I was fast at points. Like I just was injured constantly, dude.
Yeah.
Constantly. That was my biggest thing.
So, with the three of you riding on the same track at the same time, who's the dirtiest rider?
Me. I'll take that.
Really?
He had no hesitation.
I don't know if I've ever
100%.
seen you take somebody out.
I would take people out constantly.
I think we
I know.
Hey, he's holding his head like proud of it. Like
I
so
think
it must have happened.
It's
We
not
all went
it's
through
not
that
an
phase,
achievement.
though.
See, but AJ is like, if when you talk about dirty stuff, like he's a Dade City warrior. Like
Yeah.
if you were to go back into like race results and membership numbers, like AJ is in that like I
Yeah.
would say top 25 like real deal dudes. Like back when Bright House was featuring Sponsors Cup, like
Oh, yeah.
AJ was all in it. Like I remember him leading lights things, like his head bob thing. Like I vividly remember it all. But like
I did do it though. I'm
he still does it. He
I
runs
still
the
do
stir
it.
on
He
his
still
head.
does
it's
it.
still
like,
it's still yeah. I do.
but like no, the Dade City thing. I feel like it's so hard because besides like RJ, like he's like that unicorn in it from Dade City. Like you would literally see back when Jason Thomas was like a main event. Troy Adams, Butler Brothers main event guys.
Yeah.
They would go and get smoked by Livesay. Like he would just
Pine
smoke.
cone.
Vince Devane, even at the time, would beat
Devane,
them.
yeah.
And it's just like that was an error that people I try to explain to that no one understands.
We talk about that all the time. Tyler and I were in the thick of that time, you know, with Randy and being on Bright House. We had a commercial in the movie theater locally in Wesley Chapel. Like,
Yeah.
I would go and walk into a local store and they're like, "Oh man, we watched the race last weekend." Whatever. I was like, "Man, this is big time."
Big.
People don't understand.
It was huge.
That was such
like,
a
yeah.
epic time.
for local racing. Like that was honestly something like, dude. The only thing I could remember like lizard lick towing or something. Like that's what Sponsors Cup was, but it was real. Like it was
Yeah.
Quad Wars in Monster Jam, but it was real. Like I remember Troy and Keelan like punching each other and stuff.
Remember JT and bumping Pinecone when he's coming off the track and
Then
knocking him over?
Yeah,
They
like-
had the fighting circle.
The circle, yeah.
Literally, like I remember Randy and
I was
that
on
we would have those Sponsor Cup riders meetings, and he'd be like, "I drew a circle in the middle of the track. If you guys want to fight, go into the circle." And I'm like, oh, "Holy shit! Like, are we serious?"
Well, because that was the time dude, they were fighting nonstop.
Oh, yeah.
In the pits, like with the live says, pine cones.
Oh, I was-
Kyle Keelan.
My
Yeah.
dad,
Dude, they
knew
were
how to
fighting
couple them
constantly.
once.
I got into it one time. I got into it with Tyler, and he was one of my best friends at the time. He was my best man at my wedding. I mean, I got into it with him one time because we were helping Ian Millett.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
You know,
yeah.
so
Ian was in there too. He was another one that was really good at Dade
You
City.
remember the
Jerry
Who was
Capoin.
it with? Was it
Good.
Was it Tyler and Pinecone with the helmet at East Bay MX before it was Tampa? Do you remember that one? Dude, that one was bad. That one was probably worse than all the Dade City ones. Was that one with the helmet throwing?
I remember that
Dude, that one was
very, very
so
faintly, but I
bad.
remember that.
yeah, I don't remember that.
What's crazy though is that time area you're talking about is like, look how many names it's produced out of this area.
Well, Randy was
Out of
putting a lot
Florida
into it.
alone, but like this area and like everybody that's became big time in the sport is always referred back to like Dade City or this race or that race in Central Florida.
Well, I mean, there's pictures of, James and Ricky and all those guys riding there. But as far as being like a local Dade City guy, I think RJ probably takes the cake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
as being like
Well,
the highest.
he pushes it too. He says Dade City, this and that.
Yeah.
He pushes that.
No, like even though RJ gets all the praise that he does, I still don't think it's justified for like what that kid has come from,
Yep.
what he's turned himself into.
Unbelievable.
Like I remember
We had him on here when he was talking about practicing on a four-wheeler.
Yeah.
He was like, I didn't have enough to do a practice bike, so I would practice on a
He
four-wheeler.
would just ride forward.
under the power lines.
There was times like when we were on that BTO
Unreal.
KTM team together, I would be complaining about my bike and like he would crash out his bike. I remember the one time at Reddick, he wadded his bike up and my practice bike, I was like, dude, that thing doesn't work, blah, blah, blah. We went out there in 250B, he took my practice bike and whooped my ass on my practice bike. My dad was like, looks like it works pretty good. And I was just like, I guess it does.
Can't really argue that one.
Yeah. But at least now, look at him, so I don't care as much. So.
Yeah.
Is there any specific memory, Kyle, of these two that you race with that you remember from either one?
I don't think anything with AJ. I don't think.
He never took you out. He's got the crown.
No, AJ and I didn't have any confrontation. Jack and I had one.
Oh, you were too far ahead
Just
to take
one.
him out.
I want to hear about it.
Jack and I had one.
Tell me about this.
So it happened at Tampa.
Yeah, I want to hear what you remember versus what I remember.
Okay.
It's two sides to every
We
story.
buried this a long time ago.
I'll tell
just
you
to
my
be
side of the
clear.
story. So, like I said, I'm quite a bit younger. So I was kind of that. I felt like I was always the pest. Even DJ. I got into it with DJ quite a few times too. But I just felt like I was kind of the little pesty young kid, which it happened to me too. When young kids get faster, I was like, screw this little kid. So Jack and I. It was actually during practice.
Uh-huh.
So Jack and I were out there. From what I remember, I was on a slow lap. I went to the very tippy top of the berm to try to get out of their way. And Jack kind of came up there and gave me a little love tap, which I did not appreciate because I was moving out of his way anyways. So I did something I probably shouldn't have done. I went to the start straight away and I sat there for a lap and I waited and I waited until he came back around. And I took off, and it was just like a supercross. It was kind of a 180 right down a long start straight into a bowl left. So I took off as soon as he was coming, and I smoked him off the berm. And nothing, that was it. It was actually the last lap of practice. We actually got off.
Yeah, checkered flew.
Yep, we got off.
Nice.
And then the next one, I was expecting it. He was anticipating. We went out there and there was some, games played. I was kind of telling him to get away from me. He was waiting on me, and then we ended up going off the side of the track together and having a little altercation. But
Well, tussle.
It was literally
Did you guys wrestle?
Yeah, it was
Yeah, a
like
little bit.
J-Law Villapoto.
Yeah.
Exact same
Yeah.
thing. Like he literally even looped his bike into me.
Yeah.
I did.
It was like
launched my bike.
it was like the same thing. Like
Yeah.
it was like
Yeah.
But yeah, no, his story is honestly spot on. That's how it went. Like I remember it. It was like this was probably when I was probably at my fastest. Like I was racing arena cross. I was doing
Was it
pretty good.
a money race?
No, it was just a regular practice day.
Okay.
It was just a
I couldn't
typical
remember.
practice day. And my friend Cody Gregg.
Typical practice day.
Typical, yeah. Like Cody Gregg was in town, and he had just did pretty good at Budds Creek on a 252 stroke. Like we were all ripping pretty good. It was me, Kyle Chisholm, Cody Gregg, and my buddy Jake Scott, which at the time was not my friend, but this situation made me and Jake friends. So I'm thankful for that aspect. And then yeah, like he's saying, I don't know if he was up in the corner or what, but I just remember like him being out in the front of the pack and like we were going by, and I remember it as like he went into the corner, I kind of like cut down and like pushed him out a little bit, but like knowing that he wasn't like necessarily racing with us or whether he was or not, but I kind of like ran him higher, but didn't really think much of it. But when we came back around, I was not expecting like that to happen. And he hit me pretty good. Like I kind of heard it. I was like, holy shit, like who is this? Like I know this ain't Cody because Cody's on a 2-stroke. And I look, and it's him, and I'm like, fuck, this guy ain't stopping. So, like, dude, he hits me, and, like, it was a huge bowl turn, too, like, big one. Punts me right off the thing. Thank God I didn't crash, because it probably would have been worse. And, like, at the time, I was just like, whatever. Like, but then I went into the pits, okay? And you know my dad.
Yeah, everything
And that was
got
at my
amplified a little
That
bit.
was at my dad's, like, workout stage, where he was, like,
Testosterone.
dude, huge,
High level.
massive.
Yeah.
High
Okay? There
levels.
might have been some roid rage involved. And I just remember him like saying to me, he was like, if you don't go out there and put that kid in the hospital, you're not coming home, and your bikes are all sold. So at that point, I was just like, all right, I either got to take him out or we're fighting. So like, he didn't give me the chance to take him out. He wouldn't do it. Like, I got behind him. He knew it was coming. He was like, go, go. And I was like, nope, not going. We're going to stick right here. And then, like, I cut him off, and then he loops the bike out, and then we end up wrestling around. And actually, Ryan Jessup, I don't remember, he had a GoPro of the whole thing. And, like, at that time, too, like,
Find the video.
I was gonna say, do you still have that?
oh,
video?
no, it's out there.
I never saw
it's
the
out
video.
there. I've seen it. I've watched it a few times. I got it sent to
It's
me.
like when GoPro was new.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was when GoPro was new. And Jessup has the whole thing on the thing. And it's just like, looking back, it's kind of like embarrassing, because it's just like, why did you do that? But
That's one thing that I gotta bring up. Why do people wrestle in motocross gear?
Doesn't make any sense.
Like, you've got a helmet on. Some people have a
I've
chest
done it one
protector.
time.
You got
with Mitchell Falk.
well, he did grab my helmet.
I did,
Like,
yeah.
because I got him and he had my helmet, so I couldn't. So it ended up ripping off. And like, I don't know.
I'm just glad you guys are here smiling, being able to talk about it.
there
It's like,
was a time
it's
where,
like
like-
a therapy session. This is great.
We went through this a long time ago. I remember seeing you at Dade City, and I
Yeah.
was like, dude, that part, like, it was just a misunderstanding. Like, if it wasn't for my dad rallying me up, like, my dad was
I remember
a
that.
hothead and
I
pissed.
remember your dad
And like, he
screaming.
was in the pit area, like, and I love my dad. He was just a passionate father. But he was like, break his leg, send him to the hospital. And then, like, that's actually how me and Jake became friends, who's one of my best friends now, because he was from New York, and his dad's the same way, like, Long Island hothead.
Oh, yeah.
And he's like, I want to be friends with you. So he's like, you are alike. And then I went out there and get into the fight with him. So, of course, he's like, oh, yeah, we're definitely two peas in a pod. So I met one of my best friends out of it. And at that time, I was like teaching schools at Tampa, and Ronnie Monk was one of the owners with Mike Floyd,
Yep.
which I had loved that job, which ended up making me get fired from the
No
job.
way.
Oh yeah, I got fired from
Oh,
that.
I didn't know that.
It only
See,
lasted. It only
hey,
lasted 3
we're
weeks.
diving deeper. We're diving deeper right now.
Yeah, so I got fired
You got
because
fired, dude.
I was aggressive. I was too aggressive to be
Come
around the
on.
kids. So
Wow.
that lasted like 3 weeks, and then they realized like no one else wants to teach these schools for $75. We got to bring Jack back.
Yep.
And
I did that for a while.
I ended up, yeah. Now look at me.
You're here.
Well, I mean, that's a good one. That's a good one. AJ, anything from you with these two?
Not that I can. I mean, I got
We wrestled
tons.
before, though.
Yeah, we've wrestled.
Don't even don't even go there.
He's none. But we've wrestled. We got so many stories, dude. He used to mess with my dad because, like I said, he lived with me. Dude, he used to mess with my dad like it was no tomorrow. My dad was a carpenter, so he big with his hands. You know, this was one of the main ones I remember. He took like air filter grease. You know, you put it around the rim, and he shoved it all up under my dad's F-250
Door handle?
Door handle.
Oh, yeah.
And my dad stuck his. He said he couldn't get the grease off for a long time. He flipped
That
on
one
Jack.
pissed him off.
Oh, dude, that was a bad one. But it was every day. He put shrimp in my brand new boots,
Brand new Fox Instincts. stuffed
Brand
them with
new.
baked shrimp.
full to the top. They never were the same. I had to throw them away.
Of course not.
my dad flipped. But it was every single day we were doing stuff like that, just prank after prank, going to a track, doing this, you know, messing with my dad, or he was messing with me. You know, we were playing foot down and race. We got so much stuff. It's crazy.
So overall, you guys were pretty close.
Yeah.
You know, live with you, came
Yeah.
up racing together. I mean, obviously you're not far off at Kyle age with those guys. I remember watching you guys battle and go on the track when I was announcing and doing the iMoto stuff. So that's fun for me to see, you know, you guys here now. And I want to get into transitioning from that time and what it gets to today. But I do want to stop real quick and say one thing with Kyle. Ironman last weekend. Give me the overall summary of Ironman for you. Was that your first time at Ironman?
Yeah, it was my first time at Ironman, which
Track looks sweet.
Which it is sweet,
That
and
track is
and the way I heard people talk about it sounds like it's one of the better ones on the circuit. So I'm lucky I got to go to that one. But yeah, we had Seth racing. I think it could have went better. He knows that. I know that. I mean, ripped 2 hole shots, which is cool. You know, videos all over the place. But like we talked about, I think he's still just a little small. When you go to a man's track like that just beats the crap out of you. I think size really comes into play there. So we were up front, got to lead, you know, some laps, but good learning experience. He's young and you know,
one of the youngest ones out there.
Yeah.
What did he end up?
He went 15-15 for 16th.
Oh wow.
Yeah, he tipped over in the first one after pulled the whole shot, led up front, was battling with the guys, and I think he was in like around 5th or something, then fell.
Yep, went down.
And then the second moto pulled the whole shot again, and then whatever else it was, just faded back a bit because I mean, again, he's 115 pounds on a 250 on a real track.
He's gonna be good.
Oh yeah. Once he gets a little weight on him, he'll be.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it didn't bother me. It didn't bother him. I mean, it's just a stepping stone in the path to the future. So, first one, and you know, he's got Vegas coming up for the SMX, and that'll be good for him too. And then next year, obviously, you know, he's should be one of the ones to beat. Yeah.
Well, I mean, we talked about it last episode that he was on. I mean, if you think about last year's Minios, he was racing in Super Mini.
Yeah.
And then did Spring Nationals on a 125. And then right before Loretta's gets the call that he's allowed to ride the 250.
Yeah.
And then goes to his first, combine at Ironman and rips 2 hole shots. I mean, to me, probably one of the easiest outdoors to access. I mean, fly into Indianapolis, boom, straight to Ironman, not even an hour away. I mean, super easy drive.
Yeah. It's a good experience.
Yeah, and it was a cool track. Pits were set up nice. I mean, I want to say a big thank you to HBI Racing, Matt Bell, for grabbing me some pit passes for that race. So thank you to him. But that brings me to one thing, Shane. With you and all the traveling that you did, driving for all the factory teams, have you been to Ironman?
Yes, a couple times, but it's funny you bring up Ironman because it was probably the worst race I've ever been to.
Oh, nice. Why?
It was. I've been to obviously every mutter possible, but that was the worst mutter I've ever seen in my life. The first time I went there.
Okay.
It was. I actually still have pictures on my phone of that place because it was so amazingly muddy.
Yeah.
That it blew my mind. It blew everybody's mind, really.
Did you go there when it was a non-mutter?
Yeah, I was good. Yeah. I went there when Coop won I was there when Coop won the Lights Championship there, and but are you asking me about
who'd your truck drive for? What teams?
All these guys.
It's pretty cool.
Factory Suzuki.
No, I started off with Factory Connection Amsoil in 2004. And then I went to Factory Suzuki for quite a few years, and then I worked for Chad Reed, the whole T2 Motorsports thing, and then after that I went to Factory KTM, and then that was it for my career, being on the road for 8 months out of the year.
It's a gnarly job.
Yeah,
but I did some other things outside of that. But what were you asking me about the outdoors?
Yeah. So the question I was leading to there is, A, had you been to Ironman, but B, yes, you've been there, but out of all the outdoors, what would be your top few?
I mean, obviously, Redbud's always good.
Yeah.
I have a lot of memories from Redbud.
Yeah.
Good and bad.
Is that
good and
environment
bad.
or lands and everything? Like
What's that?
Is
like
that-
scenery, or is that just pure environment?
Track's good too.
I'm a party
yeah.
animal, dude. I always went to Lot B, so we always had a good time there. Like as far as fun wise for the weekend, that was a good place. I always appreciated Washougal.
Yeah.
Like Washougal's beautiful.
Yeah, it is.
It's so cool. And I was born and raised a half hour north of Glen Helen, and for some reason Glen Helen's still special to me. But I mean, they're all good. I mean, dude, go to Unadilla. The drive out to Unadilla is amazing. They're all pretty good.
Yeah.
Never really liked High Point.
I like Millville. I enjoyed going to Millville.
Millville's another one.
Yeah.
It was all the cornfields is bitching out there.
Yeah, it was good.
But maybe my top. God dang, that's hard, man.
I didn't know if you were more of a West Coast guy because you were in California for a long time, or if you were more of an East Coast guy.
I like the greenery. That's why I'm here.
Yeah.
You know, I always came back to Florida, and we were mostly on the East Coast anyway. You know the schedule.
Yeah.
And so I always enjoyed the East Coast, but I'll tell you what, man, that's hard. That's a hard decision. You know, like what would be your favorite? But I really like the Texas one, even though it was always like the nastiest hot ever.
Yeah.
But that facility is really cool.
Well, that's what I was curious, because you've gotten to see them all. You know,
Yeah.
I've only been to, I don't know, 3 or 4 outdoors. They're not really the easiest to get to. You know what I mean? Like,
No.
it's not like Indy Supercross where you just fly into Indy and you're there, or Atlanta, like you're there. I mean,
I'm not a Portland fan, but I would recommend anybody to go to Washougal.
yeah,
Yeah, Washougal's cool, man.
that's a hike.
Yeah, it is.
That's a hike.
It's a flight.
All right, so I'm going to jump back over here to AJ and Jack, and I want to know at what point for both of you, and Jack, I'm going to start with you. When did you say, I'm done trying this pro arena cross, supercross, and like, I got to make a change here?
Probably when I was at WW Ranch laying on the ground during the GP. I was like, I'm done. Like, at that point, I had just got a house, so it was my first house, like paying bills, payments, things were real. I was kind of on the way out of like, not that I want to say I was on the way out, but I was like in that point where I was like at a realization that I was like, I'm never going to get rich from this. I'm never going to be able to retire. And like, I started really training kids a lot. And like the dirt bike racing thing was more of like a strategy to pull riders to train.
Yeah.
So when I was laying on the ground there at the GP in Jacksonville, I broke my tib fib. And at that point, like,
That's a tough one.
well, it was like weird, because not to get into it too much, and like I don't want to try to like make this about Uncle Rico stories, but like that was the first time I had an injury where normally you get hurt and the first thing you're like, I'm ready to ride again. How am I gonna get this fixed? But whatever had happened in that crash, like it made my body shut down, because I almost had a compound fracture with the leg. And like, I don't know if it hit a stinger or what, but like I was laying on the ground and the only thing I could feel was my left arm. So like I'm in these sand rollers and I was picking my arm up, and like it was taking everything in my body to lift my arm up, because I was like, shit, I was in like 17th. So like I was like, people are not gonna see me and I'm gonna run over. And so I'd pick my arm up and it would just fall. I'd pick my arm up and it would just fall. And that happened for like the whole time until they got to me to roll me over. And then once they rolled me over, like I started feeling things again. But like in those moments, which was probably only like 3 minutes, my whole life and everything that like, just everything just stopped. And I was just like, for the first time in my life ever, I was like, I don't care about riding dirt bikes.
You just knew.
Yeah, I was like, I don't care about riding dirt bikes. I don't care about anything. I just want to walk. Like, I just want to walk. I want to live. And like, that's what I care about at this moment. So like, it was right then when I was laying in the hospital, and like later that day, RJ came in and like I was getting prepped for surgery, and he's like, I won. And I was like, dude, that's sick. Like, you won. Like, but at that same point, I was like, I don't know if I ever even want to ride again. Like, dude, that experience I just went through, like now I'm good. I feel everything, but like my leg, I just got to get that rod put in and whatever, but it'll be good. But that was at the point I was like, this isn't what I'm meant to do, like forever.
Yeah.
And that's when like transitioned into, I ended up meeting people where I ended up with the Spider MX and doing that and like training kids. And when I started training kids is when I realized I had a passion for like, I enjoyed seeing kids progress and like seeing them grasp something and their eyes light up and be like, oh, I got it. Like that was cool and that was different. And then that like only makes so much money, you know, and it's kind of like a chase. Like you have to stay after it day after day and just like continue to get parents to be like, oh, bring your kid to me to train. And then I got an opportunity, not on what I know, but who I don't know, which was most of my life from my dad. So like my dad with the Monster Jam connections got me a job in the office doing track building and stuff for Monster Jam. So I started doing that, and that was, at that point I was like, all right, racing is a hobby now. It's not like we're not going to chase it. And it was honestly a good thing. Like that was one of those blessings in disguise, because if I hadn't broke my leg at that GP, there's no telling how long I would have still chased it for, and I would have kept trying, and it would have just gone on nowhere, you know.
So AJ, I'm going to throw the same question to you. I mean, you were going fast. I mean, you were talking about in the prime, and then you did a couple arena crosses.
Just injuries, man, really ruined. Same kind of deal. I had a shoulder thing. I've had like 7 or 8 surgeries on this shoulder alone.
Yeah.
Damn.
It was a gnarly deal. Got infected. That whole thing. That kind of ended my. I was done really before then. So with me, like when I was 16, my dad's company burnt down, and we didn't have much help. We had a little help. So then. From there, like obviously my dad didn't have any money for us to ride, so I had to work. I worked at H&R Power Sports at 16, so I was kind of paying my own deal, 16 years old.
Wow.
Trying to get bikes and this and that. But then I got picked up by the Hollywood, Scott Salco, which me and him are still super close to this day. You know, he definitely helped out a lot. I rode for him for a little bit, but it was just at that point, like I was so pretty much beat, like body wise and just mentally, and it was just tough for me to keep going. I stopped pretty much at 18. I had a 2v2 stroke. I kind of rode around, did some stuff, and
Yeah. So now it's both, you know, hobby. You're still riding. We invited you guys out to the facility because we wanted you to try the new layout. Tell me what you think.
I like it.
Pretty
I like
sweet.
it.
I like it too.
Jack wouldn't hit a jump.
There was a tabletop that was just like, all right, so
It's just all the trash talking, man.
Dude,
AJ
it's
told me-
unbelievable.
I
couldn't
have
believe
two
it.
strokes, two 252 strokes, identical setup, and then I have my 450. The 450 is my go-to. I like riding the 450. 2 strokes.
With a blue skid plate.
It does.
All right, Alex St. John. So, the 2 strokes that mainly I actually bought the second one because I tried to get DJ back riding. But to get him to buy a set of gear was like the end-all, be-all, even though I know he can make one phone call and he has gear at his front door. But we won't get into that.
Yeah.
But anyway, so like at least I got it for like AJ and other people, whatever. But the 2 strokes to back up, he said to me, "You cannot bring the 450." And I was like, okay, because he knows what happens if the 450 comes, Jacko comes. I'm ready to rip. So I'm like, all right. This morning I was getting ready. I was like, I'm gonna load the 450 just in case like a bike breaks. We have an extra bike, a third bike. I didn't do it. So the jumps at the Future MX compound was a little bigger than I had anticipated for it. And like, I don't like jumping the 2-stroke. Like if it's a turn track, it's a rough track, it's fine. Like even at Tampa MX, my track, it took me a little while to jump the jumps on the 2-stroke. Like there's the one table in the back, like there's no engine brake. And for as long as I can remember, I've been riding a bike where you come up and like, it's a different feeling. So there's this table that's a little shorter, steeper, longer. And there was a ski jump before it, and like going up to it, I kind of misjudged it on the 2-stroke, even though it was all I had. I still didn't really make it, and I kind of like tweaked myself up, and I'm like, all right, we're gonna wake up here and not hurt yourself today. And then this guy, okay, on my bike, comes behind me, and I look, and he jumps the thing, and in my head, I'm just like,
Second lap.
What lap? Yeah.
Second lap.
I knew
it
was
wasn't
like, I'm
nothing
never gonna
crazy.
hear the end of this.
I mean, it's a big jump, but
I
it's
had
not-
already made in my head, I'm not jumping this thing today. Like, I'm not jumping this on the 2-stroke. Nope. Because like the 2-stroke, you got to come off and like, it's just like, it's not the
You gotta hit it with a lot of
It's
speed.
not the same as the 450. The 450, you get that, and like everything just floats. It's good. The 2-stroke, it floats in the other direction. And we got to like really be on top of it. He hits it. I see the wheel tap and everything. And I'm just like, oh God, here we go.
I haven't rode in 4 years, almost.
Really?
Yeah.
No,
Not thrown a leg over bike once in 4
I've rode Kroom one time with him, and how long ago was that?
Duct taped his knee braces on today.
I've had knee braces since I was probably 14. But how long ago did we ride Kroom?
No, one knee brace was like 17 and the other knee brace was 12. Like they were not even the same size.
It's pretty gnarly.
And they were duct taped on. Not even like a kneecap, patella cup. Just, I honestly couldn't.
I think the
believe it.
last time I had a bike was early 2020 was the last time I touched I had my own bike
Suzuki 450.
Suzuki
That
450.
Shut off on him on the face of the finish line.
at Tampa MX, and I fractured some stuff in my back, and that's why I haven't bought one since. For me, a big thing is like even today, second lap, I go out there. I haven't rode for 4 years. I can literally hop on a bike and feel like I just rode yesterday, mentally. Physically, I'm not there. My body's way.
Well, you said you were a jumper. Like jumpers, they're a different breed.
No, it's just like
They can just go out and do it like it's no big
he
deal.
doesn't think of the consequences.
I
Like,
do though. I know the consequences.
You know them.
I know them. It's just
Yeah.
Not think
like
about it.
naturally, it just comes to me. Riding a dirt bike for me, and I still ride like Surons and stuff, and I still ride bikes, you know.
Yeah.
But when I hop on a bike, it feels like I never get off. It's the weirdest thing.
He doesn't think of the why factor.
Does that frustrate the hell out of you though?
Not really, but
Like, were you frustrated about it?
a little bit.
He was frustrated because he knew what was about to come after.
Yeah, it's like I knew what was in store for it because I had already like shut that one off. I was like, there's really no reason to do it. Like if it was the 450 and I did it, I would have been disappointed in myself because I'd been like, you're just being a little, whatever. But on the 2-stroke, in my head, I'm like, you're not super comfortable jumping the 2-stroke. Like AJ is a unicorn and he just did this thing and he's not even necessarily thinking like literally the second lap on a bike he's never rode, like stock suspension, everything. Like for me, if you change my lever position, I'm
Screwed up. Yeah.
But that
I'm
same thing with
flustered.
like RJ too. Like RJ's kind of the same
RJ's
way.
the same way. Alex
Like,
Spade, remember that kid?
Spade's another one.
Dude, you could put their handlebars all the way forward.
Doesn't matter.
They just figure it out.
It doesn't matter.
Like I feel
They
like
just ride it.
RJ's different than that. Nowadays.
Aiden was very similar like that.
Aiden-
for us.
Aiden's another one like that, too.
With our bikes, like when we race in pro stuff, I mean, like you could change the lever, you could do whatever, and he's just always been wired ride the bike.
Yeah.
Like don't sit
Well,
here and
it's a lot of parents.
yeah. Well, I mean,
me.
Donnie. I mean, it's,
Yeah.
it's a very
They
similar
don't give you
situation.
excuses.
You don't
my
tell
dad,
them.
My dad would not give me an excuse.
Like, when I would go to
there
race-
was no excuse.
When I would go and race overseas, I would take my seat with me because, believe it or not, like the seat is completely like everything the bike feels like. Like if you have your seat and then you go ride someone else's with a different seat, even if it's your bars, triple clamps, everything, seat is crucial. I don't care what anyone says.
A broken in seat.
A broken-in seat that you broke.
Never in my
I've heard
life,
that 1,000 times.
Never in my life have I thought about a seat.
Yeah.
The seat is
Never in my
life. It's crazy what
Yeah.
the seat does,
Yeah.
but the seat is crucial.
Bars are pretty big. Bars, I if it doesn't have a bar pad across the top,
Yeah.
I struggle very bad. If it's got like the twin wall fat bar,
Yeah.
down low, no crossbar,
Yeah.
I can't ride.
We could talk about this all day long because
Very
like
struggle for me.
I worked a lot with JG, and JG would like his grips like completely worn down to the metal.
Yeah.
Like
Same way.
new grips, hell no.
Same way with Aiden.
Like it like fit his hands perfect, you know. Like everybody's got those corks.
Aiden would wear gloves with holes in them. I'm like,
Yeah.
dude, you've got 5 pairs of brand new gloves right there in your gear bag, and he's like, no, dude, these are the ones.
These are the ones.
I was like, wow. But yeah, same thing. Grips worn out. Doesn't matter. Were you like that, Kyle?
No.
Do you
Not
ever
at all.
spin laps?
Huh?
Do you spin laps?
No.
No.
I asked him that today. I said,
Never.
Not at
"How do
all.
you-"
Never.
I said, how do you work here and do the track and don't ride? It just doesn't make no sense.
I think
But I told him that's the exact reason why, though. Like it is because
Every-
I work there all day,
Which-
and I
Yeah.
go to Dade City and I work there. Like I'm around dirt bikes 24/7.
Yeah.
I don't. When I'm done, like training, or I'm done working on the track, I'm not like, ooh, let's go ride. I'm like, I just want.
Yeah.
I get what he's saying though, but just my advice from my opinion. So when I first got Tampa, I did that whole mentality. I was like, dude, I'm on the track all day. I'm around dirt bikes. I'm not riding. When I did ride is when like you're on the dozer, and every time you're on the dozer, you know exactly what you're building. when you're
helps a
doing
lot with that
and it
side
like
of it.
translates to it because when I first got Tampa, I was building stuff for me. Not necessarily like I was like, oh, this is for me, but I was building it to my skill level. So then when like I got off the dozer and like there was vet guys coming up to me, or beginner guys like, dude, you're trying to kill me, like whatever. Like I'd be like, dude, it's fine, like it's whatever. And then like I would ride the track in their way and like roll something, and I'd be like, oh my god, like yeah.
I'm trying to kill these guys.
Yeah, that doesn't work. Like I have to like know this.
Yeah.
So it's just good though to ride. Like just do a few laps, even whenever you can squeeze it in, because it gives you a perspective where you're like, okay, I could peak this face up just a little bit, or mellow this landing out just a little bit, and it's gonna make the track flow so much better. Where it's like you're a good rider, you're a good operator. When you combine those two things, you get a hell of a track.
Yeah, I understand that. I do feel like though, I did kind of begin operating at Dade City, and Randy was super like, I mean, we know Dade City's clientele is very wide. So when I did start operating, I felt like I almost moved from a beginner up level in a dozer. So I feel like I kind of have and then I went to, Sandbox, and I was building tracks, pro supercross tracks, pro outdoor tracks. And then, so I feel like I do have but I do know what you're saying. It definitely would help
Yeah.
If I did ride
And at the
some,
same
but
time,
I cannot
the
let my
consequence-
kids see me ride.
that you were talking about earlier, the consequences. If he goes down, the dozer's down,
Yeah.
the water truck's
The whole
down,
facility's down.
The facility's not functioning.
Well, I mean,
But
I don't know if you guys know, but I ran an 83 compound for, what is the dog pound now? And I'm not the level of any of you, probably not even close. And I made the mistake one time of like, I'm going to ride this outdoor track that I just freshened up, dude. And it's like, it's gnarly how peaky and crazy that track was, the outdoor track over there. And then, so I went over the turn track, sand turn track, and I'm like, this is worse. Like, this is gnarly. Especially after a long day of sand tracks. Yeah, dude. So, but I rode there twice in a year. And I'll never do it again.
I've never ridden at any of the facilities I've worked at.
It's a weird feeling. I feel like I'm ditching school too. Like, I'm supposed to be working right now,
Yeah. I haven't touched the bike in a few years, probably 3 years.
Yeah.
Close to 4.
Right there with AJ.
Yeah.
4 years.
Yeah.
Get on it. You won't feel like you ever left except for your arms.
Yeah,
You'll
I just
feel
have
that right away.
that's where I'm weird. I just have no
desire.
Even you two coming to ride today, there's nothing in me.
Like I don't
desires
really,
that at
I don't
all.
really desire to ride either at this point. Like I don't really want to ride all the time.
But you did.
Yeah.
Like if somebody asked me, I'd probably tell them no.
Yeah. See, I won't do that.
No, like AJ would, if he rode motos today and like if we rode more, he'd be talking to me about like, dude, do you think like I should race plus 25 at Minios? Like, do you think I got it?
He's gonna pull a Wilfredo.
That's how he is. No, that
It is. And that's an issue. That's why I don't have a bike.
But
He's gonna
that's
pull a
truthfully-
Wilfredo.
You
on
are
us.
that way.
Yeah. No, because I know.
Sparks back up.
Yeah. It's just like I said. It comes so natural to me. Like riding a bike, it feels like I never got off.
I had this issue for a while though, and this turns into my sauna cold plunge issues. Okay,
Unbelievable.
where like there was a while where I went through, like when I was done chasing the dream, where I would go to the track and I still felt like I had to show up at a local track and be the fastest guy. And if I wasn't the fastest guy, I feel like I either had to like make excuses or load up and go home, which it took me till this point in my life, and I wasted a lot of time of realizing like, why do you ride dirt bikes? I ride dirt bikes because I enjoy it, because I love it, right? So why am I holding myself to this standard of like
Pressure
I have to
on
be-
yourself.
Yeah, there's no reason for it. And then like I had this thought of like, all right, I want to race plus 30 at Minios Supercross. So I'm like, what can I do to race plus 30 at Minios? Like,
He's going to beat Mike Brown.
no. Okay, stop, Will. No. So like I'm like, what can I do? I can prepare as best as I can and do everything that I can. And if I get 10th, I get 10th. If I finish on the podium, I'm on the podium. I get to hold my son up there with my dad, and that's an awesome experience. But worst case, I put in the best effort that I can. I'm in great shape. And like I look at it now is that, so if I do a cold plunge and a sauna and I work out and I go on a run and go on a cycle, I'm training for when I'm 40 years old, for when I'm 50 years old, for when my son's 18, I'm able to go on a run with him and be able to push him and be able to be there with him, or I'm able to go cycling with him, whether he wants to play football or basketball or baseball or dirt bikes, whatever. I'm training now for the shape that I want to be in when I'm 40 or 50. It's not about dirt bikes. It's not about a Minios title or Loretta's title. It's about me as a human and a person. And am I spending tonight in the
It's a goal.
sauna and the cold plunge, or am I sitting at home drinking a bourbon or a bottle of bourbon, because that's what I would do. And it's like, this is the difference. So like my standard isn't like I'm going for a Minios title. My standard is I'm going to try to make a program and stick to that, and it's a goal that I want to do.
Yeah, it's giving you a goal.
Yeah, and
you have
however
something to work
I finish,
towards. You
I
have something
had
to work
fun
towards.
at the races, and I don't want to go to the races, and if I go out in the qualifier and get 8th, I'm not going to be like, oh, it's like, all right, you got 8th, like whatever. What is it going to do? Even if I won, if I checked out, say I won plus 30, checked out, gone, what am I going to get out of it?
I won't name any names, but I kind of mentor a pro guy now that he is riding, and mentally he has the mindset of Jack. So he is okay with losing. He's okay with not being, I'm not saying you need to be the best, but you need to be up there, and you need to be, giving yourself consequences when you don't meet your goals, right? Or you don't go to the track. You're going to try to qualify for a Supercross, and you're getting 45th or 50th. it shouldn't be cool.
There's a difference when you're doing it.
No, that's what I'm saying though. Like,
And
you need to do it. Like, he needs the mindset opposite of Jack. He's not doing it as a hobby. He's trying to do it for a living, and he wants to do it for a career. Mindset wise, he should change that. There's mindset of Jack, whereas like, you need to. It doesn't matter if you get.
It's more like structure.
Yeah, it does.
You need the structure.
Yeah,
I mean, build the program,
really
follow the
it's
program.
Like even like what
Yeah.
Kyle said a few minutes ago, he's like, I don't want my kids that I train to see him ride. That doesn't make Kyle a bad coach. Like, there's plenty of coaches that are unbelievable coaches that necessarily aren't going to go to the track and qualify for a Supercross. Like, Kyle going out there and not jumping the table like I did today doesn't make Kyle a bad coach at all. Like, you look at Jeannie Carmichael. Have you ever seen her ride a dirt bike? But you talk to
Alden
pro
Baker.
riders, and you're like, yeah,
Alden
like
Baker.
they're great coaches. So like, people have this perspective of like, oh, if you're not fast on a dirt bike, like, you're not a good coach.
Like, how are you supposed to know?
Exactly, and you could be
Let me see you do it.
super fast on a dirt bike and not know how to coach, because I know plenty of people that are very good on dirt bikes but cannot translate it to a rider and break it down. Like, someone for me that Troy Adams was a really good coach for me. He helped me out a lot. Ferry, obviously, but Tishner was someone who broke things down in like a scientific
Tishner was
realm.
an unbelievable coach.
Like, the way he explained it to you, you could like see things go off in your head where it like domino affected and broke down, where like that's what makes a good coach. And Tishner was obviously a great rider on a dirt bike, but you don't have to be a great rider to be a great coach, and you don't have to be a great coach to be a great rider. So it's like a perspective that people don't understand. Like, results is what proves it. Like, he's got Seth Dennis, who's obviously a good rider, listens to him. That should be your database of trusting in Kyle to coach your kid. So
Yeah,
Right.
I get it. So I want to dive into now Verified Graphics. Founded in 2020.
2020, yep.
How did that evolve? Where did that come from? Was it just an idea one day, or
No, I worked at a graphics place, like a wrap company. I worked there. Well, I started at it was a place called Public Imagery. It was we did in-store decor. So like, in my personal accounts, I was 18 years old. I had Denny's, Bennigan's, Hooters, and there was one other one. I don't remember.
probably
but-
never spent any time at Hooters, did you?
No, but I didn't never go there. Everything was obviously online. They would pretty
He
much
just printed women standing there with wings.
literally, but they would pretty much send me a floor plan, and they had like a corporate guidelines of what is what signs are available. I would pretty much arrange the signs in the place based off their floor plan, and I would then print it all.
Yeah.
That was all it was. But I did that first, and then I went to a wrap shop, started doing the wrap stuff, and then I've always
Install too, or just
I do it. I install too.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah. But when I worked at the place before, I didn't install. I had two installers that worked.
You were doing
under
like
me.
design.
I was
Yeah.
doing design strictly, and
Nice.
design and printing, and then it went to that whole time I was doing motocross graphics with Scott. Not necessarily, but I did my own graphics. Did a couple of my buddies' graphics, stuff like that, dirt bikes, through Hollywood Racing, and then I worked at the wrap place. I bought my house because I waited to buy that. I wanted to buy the house first because I was making a decent payroll. I was able to show income, get a decent interest rate.
Yep.
I bought the house first, and then I bought two machines and put them in the house. And that's when I started doing motocross graphics on my own. One day, the place I was working for, they pissed me off, and I said, I'm putting in my 2 weeks. And I went and got a shop, started, got machines, put them all in there, got the shop set up. Well, the company that I was working for, they're like, look, you can't leave, and they tried to sue me and do all sorts of stuff. But I was like, look, okay, I'll work for you. You guys got to pay me this much. I'll stay here, for a little bit, but I'm only going to work so much time a day, and I got to go do my own thing. So at one point I was working there for, 6 hours a day or 4 hours a day. And then I was working at Verified, my own company, for another 8-9 hours. At one point, like when I first got my house and I first started Verified, I was working till 1 a.m. every single day, constantly. And before that, it was when I got off of my 8-hour job, I was going home and doing the motocross graphics at my house on my small little Roland I had in the back room.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how it started, though.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Like for verified graphics, like say you're printing all your own stuff till 1 a.m. or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how do you break into that market to like start selling that stuff? Like, who were you selling it to?
It was honestly, it's all word of mouth.
Really?
Like I don't really advertise much at this point. I'm not a big advertise guy. I'm not a big marketing guy.
Yeah.
Honestly, it would be hard for me to be like, if I really did market it and I just got all this influx of work, it'd be hard for me to keep up, really.
Yeah.
Because it's people want so much money nowadays. It's hard for me to find help as it is.
Right.
You know, I do what I can and I try to take care of everybody I can, but it's all word of mouth. Everybody I get is word of mouth.
I have this argument with him all the time. I always tell him if he hires a manager, he'll make more money. But like, dude, because this kid, like everything he's saying, I can 100% vouch for it. Like he is like self-made. Like he did it all himself, and I'm super proud of him. But like if he did hire someone to like just handle, let's just say the motocross side of it, I think he would explode even more because he's literally the installer. Like he's everything.
I got install.
Well, here's the
I have
thing.
people that work
Like
for me,
obviously
but-
we're on a platform right now, you know, and so like, are you targeting people across the United States or just locally or what?
I mean, I'm not-
or are you even targeting it at all?
I'm not really targeting it at all.
Yeah.
Because I mean, it's kind of, I did target for a little while. I have my installer that works for me full time. I think if I could get a designer, it would help a lot.
Yeah.
You know, like if I had a designer, I don't think a manager for my line of work is good. It's just the way, you know, I kind of know how it's all laid out and what we're doing. It's managers, it's not something I need, but another designer or another installer. Always need installers. Installers.
It's hard for you to be in there designing when you're out there installing.
Yeah. So it's one or the other.
Yeah.
And I personally, I like to install. If I could get away from designing, it would be.
Yeah.
I hate sitting at the computer. I would rather just go, hey, I need to install this today, and that's all you got to do today. You don't got to install this, design this, send this, print this, do this. I mean,
But you're not strictly
nonstop.
doing motocross graphics. You're doing all kinds of graphic design or in print.
Mainly, I'm doing wraps, like vehicle wraps, trailer wraps,
Boat
wraps.
Yeah, I was looking at the website.
Commercial stuff.
So now it makes sense as far as word of mouth, because if you do a good job for homeboy on his boat over here, he's going to tell his buddy.
Yep.
For sure.
Yep.
Yeah.
A lot of my stuff's commercial.
Yeah.
So it's like big AC companies. I do a lot of police departments.
Nice.
Fire
Well, and
department.
even like we put some sample stuff up. Just it's fun right now. We're looking at different sponsors and talking to different people. And I just reached out to AJ one day and I was like, "Hey, we got a potential sponsor on the hook. Can we do this?" And he sent me something, and we throw it up online.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
And then we've got people online. They're like, "Oh my God, I want that kit. How do I get it?" And I'm like, "Contact Verified Graphics."
That's exactly how all my business comes. It's just like that.
Yeah.
But and at this point now, I've been in business for 4 years, so
Nice.
I've kind of built up a huge, not a huge, but a decent sized customer, base, and then all my commercial guys, keep the business running, and then I'm able to take care of guys like RJ or even anybody else. I don't charge a lot. You go on websites and stuff like that, they're charging way more than me.
Yeah.
Like I'm pretty low on the side of graphics. I don't really charge that much, but at the same time, I'm not as fast as probably them guys, and I'm definitely not as professional as them guys, but I charge less, I charge less, I take care of you, I'm local.
But it's also a really good product.
Yeah, it's
great.
great.
You're putting out a good product. The bikes look amazing. I mean, last year the bikes were phenomenal, and even these mock-ups that we're doing right now, I'm looking at it, and I just get super excited, to see this stuff, because I'm like, man, that looks so clean. Like, that's awesome right now. But anybody that wants to check out Verified Graphics, it's Verified Graphics spelled out co.com. verifiedgraphicsco.com. MX graphics, boat wraps, vehicle wraps, like people that want their,
Where are you out of?
Pinellas Park, like Clearwater area.
Yeah, okay.
Over there, other side
Yeah.
of the bridge. Yeah.
Yeah, even our semi, we had
I might hit you up because I need stuff for that for the venue I'm opening.
That's
and they
no problem.
Yeah, it's cool.
He's got signage. I mean, there's all kinds
I
of
do a
stuff
bunch
that
of
he can
signs.
Yeah.
Bunch of signs, like I said, a lot of my stuff is commercial. I do all the amphitheater signs.
do.
Nice.
Hey, shout out to Keen's Buildings. Dropped off some signage to them today.
Yeah, dropped off.
Oh yeah.
DJ.
Yeah, I had him working today. Jack was working with me today.
The new manager over here.
Yeah. That could work.
What's the best way for people to reach out to you? Is it through the website, email, contact form,
Any
social
of them.
media?
Any of them. Website's fine. There's a contact form on the website. You can reach out
And
to
there's
there.
also
It goes
phone
directly
number-
to my email.
Phone number on the website too, right?
Phone number on the website. My email's on the website. you can reach out any way.
Good.
Facebook, Instagram, I see them all. Might take me a day, but I see them all.
Yeah. So any of the socials or, website, like I said, verifiedgraphicsco.com. So any of those items that you need, reach out to AJ.
Yes, reach out. If he needs something for, a semi or something like that.
They did it.
We used to pay to wrap Chad's semi like $75,000. So like, just keep the market up, okay? On this guy.
$75,000. There ain't no way you paid $75,000.
Yes, we did.
No.
Yeah. The whole semi.
No.
We got our whole thing done.
I'm not going to say what. I'm not going to say what company, but
No.
Our whole semi was 15.
That's more weird.
meh. We did. We've already talked about this on the podcast, but like we used to have to go from Discount Tire to America's Tire, so we had to get a bunch of tear off. It was a circus, but
You had a bunch of spot logos on top.
yeah, but
It had to be changed depending on what region you were in, because on one region it's Discount Tire and the other region it's America's Tire. So you had to change those out every race.
I might be inflating the number a little bit to make you some money off of this guy.
If I could get
Thanks.
$75,000 for a semi,
But no, like
I could tell him exactly what I would say to that.
I could reassure you probably is anywhere from 50 to 70.
it's crazy, man.
All right, I'm going to jump over to Jack here right now. We talked about Verified Graphics, Tampa MX. How did that come about, Jack?
Well, pretty much like I was working for Feld Monster Jam, doing stuff for them, and COVID hit, and I was like, oh man, what am I gonna do? Well, I moved to Apollo Beach, which was right down the street from like the Feld office, and at that time I was grooming for Zach Freeberg and like teaching schools and doing stuff at the track. And when COVID hit, I didn't have any work coming in, so I was strictly just training kids at the track. And I was grooming for him too. And he was like, dude, I'm kind of over this. Like, you're doing a lot of it. Would you be interested in buying it? And it was him and Mike Floyd at the time, and I was good friends with Mike too. So I was like, yeah, I mean, obviously, but at the same time, like, I didn't have that much money to go and do it. So I reached out to my dad and a couple other people. We had some help to get the purchase done, and made it happen. And then my dad was kind of involved for the beginning of it, and then me and him were like, it was kind of one of those things where it's like, a father-son thing, where it's like I didn't want to be like in the shadow, and he had his ideas and I had my ideas, and like we were butting heads a lot. And he was like, all right, son, we'll just run with it then. Like, if it fails, it's on you, but I'm out. I'm done. So he did that, and I kind of took over and been running it ever since, and it's been going good. But yeah, that's kind of how Tampa come about. COVID was one of those blessings where I was working for Feld and traveling a lot. Had a really good job, but I wasn't down for like the 9 to 5, being in the office, traveling, like it kind of sucked. It was a lot of work and wasn't where my heart was at, honestly. And even though Tampa is a lot of work, I love it. So it's different.
Yeah, so Tampa MX at 6334 Birch Road, Tampa, Florida. You guys have a bunch of social media. You got your Instagram account, Facebook. That's where a lot of the info about the track goes to.
Yep.
And then it looks like you've got a training school on Tuesday nights, and then you've got like 3 days of practice. And then I know you throw in like some pit bike races, and you got some big money races. I mean, tell me about the weekly schedule.
Yeah, so we have a Tuesday night motocross school, which has been going on since the start. It's really great. We've got a couple coaches out there. We break it up into the different sections for the track. And
Who are the coaches?
Right now, I do a lot of the coaching, and then we have Kyle Stinkus. We have Aiden Shive does it quite a bit. We have another kid, Kyle Morris. Starling will hop in and out every once in a while if I need somebody. So it's not like like on a level of you guys do training. It's more of just beginners that need to come out and just get track time, and they're a little nervous to go out on just a regular practice night. And then we have practice every Wednesday. Sometimes, depending on the winter, we'll do practice in the evening and in the mornings on Thursdays. But every Saturday and Sunday we have practice, and I'll throw in some pit bike events where we do like one-off builds where I'll just go out there and throw together a pit bike track, and we'll do a Saturday night pit bike race. And we do every year we do the Pro Circuit Open. This past year is the Thor Pro Open. We actually didn't do it this latest year just because the expense that goes into it, people don't understand what it takes to put that event on. Even though it might seem like a little small backyard event, it's like $50,000 that puts that together. You have a $10,000 pro purse, But then you have to also think about all the stuff that goes into it, the sound, the extra lighting, like the staff that you have to pay to make sure all the flaggers and everything are proper, the staff that's doing the scoring and making sure that it's all going good. There's a lot that goes into that event. And this past year, I couldn't pull together the sponsorship money to make that happen. And when you look at it as a whole and you're like, all right, this event might cost me 50 grand and I might make 50 off of it. So like best case, I'm going to break even, you know? So like you have to think about as a promoter, what if it rains?
Right.
Like what if it rains and I'm in this thing, 50,000, and I'm expecting, you know, the spectators to come in and fill that void where I got 30,000 a sponsorship or 20,000 a sponsorship and I'm expecting 20 or 30,000 to come through the gate. That's going to bring me to that break even point. And when you only have $10,000 in sponsorship that's covering that purse, you're like, oh, do I want to go into this? Because if it rains and no one shows up,
You're out.
I'm done.
Yeah.
Like, I'm done. So this past year, I was just like, I don't know, especially with the longevity, as I know a lot of people talk about Tampa and our longevity of our lease and stuff like that, which I'm working on with extending it with Mosaic, because Mosaic bought the property that the car track and the motocross track is on. I just wasn't comfortable with the position that we were in to go ahead and take that leap of floating that much money.
Yeah.
And because the last thing you want to do, obviously, is like I would never put on an event where like the capital's not there to be able to pay the riders. Like I'm a rider. I know what it's like. I'm going to take care of them always. That's why like I put in so much into the track constantly as prep and things like that, because I know what it's like to be the rider, to go to the track, and if the track sucks and you're having a bad day, like you're relying on that to pull you out of the hole. So like I just never want to be in the position where like I'm down bad or like, you know, so we decided to not do the event, but it is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, how long has Tampa MX been around? It's been around for a long time, right?
A long time.
Decent amount of time.
Yeah,
for
there
sure.
was Mike Parisi started it.
I
And
remember
was that when it was called East Bay?
Yes.
East Bay Motocross.
East Bay.
And then Mike and Ronnie got it, and they changed it to Tampa MX. And then Ronnie sold his portion to Zach Freeberg, and Zach Freeberg and Mike Floyd had it for a while, and then it went to me. So
Yeah.
it's been a long time. I think
When did you get
2010.
it?
I got it 4 years ago.
So 2020?
Yeah.
So you guys both kicking off in 2020 with the Verified and the Tampa MX going.
Yeah.
Good.
Hey,
Good for
That
you.
was a big year.
So
House 2020.
Mosaic doesn't renew the lease, and as it's hypothetical, Mosaic doesn't renew the lease. Are you going to look for another track to build?
I have something in the works. I can't talk too much about it because there's stuff involved where I can't. But
Oh yeah, secrets. I love it.
yeah, but I am working on something.
Non-disclosure
There
agreements.
is going to be a gray area. Our first timeline was to just flip straight into it, but because of stipulations and permitting and things like that, like there definitely will be a gray area of where I kind of go silent for a little while. But at the end of the day,
Oh, you
like,
mean there'll be a hiatus between tracks?
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Which Tampa itself isn't completely dead yet. I am. By the end of October, I'll know whether or not we're kind of
Okay, so you know you're 60 days out from knowing.
Yeah. So like, there's still meetings to be had that's going to possibly extend that lease, but I do have a backup plan in place that if it doesn't happen, it's just going to be a little bit of a gray area. When we first started, my plan was to start transitioning in October to move to the new spot. But there was a developer that got involved that, with the county I was dealing with, we were doing a park, which was in the clause of the county bought the property from the developer. And in the plans, it was allowed to be a park, but we didn't specify off-road park. So once we put in for all the permits for the off-road park, it kind of like blew up and he went nuts. So like, we're going back and forth now with that. So it's going to be a little bit, but like, this is my passion. So like,
Well, I'm not trying to put you on the spot, but when does the current Tampa MX lease end?
the 22nd of November.
Okay, so it's guaranteed to be there through that point.
Yeah.
And then you're working on trying to extend it.
Yeah. So I'm working really hard to try to extend it because honestly, regardless, I want Tampa to be there for as long as possible. Like, I love the place. I live 15 minutes from there.
Yeah.
Like, it's at that point where like it's
So
turnkey.
in your mind, so Jack's mind, option A, extend the lease.
Yeah, absolutely.
Option B, which is kind of a fallback plan, is
Start somewhere else.
move.
Yeah, no, but regardless, I plan on like, this is what I love doing. And I've had this conversation with a lot of people because there's no secret, like having a facility or a dirt bike track, there's not a ton of money to be made.
Right.
Like there's not, it's just not there. When you look at the water truck that's needed, the dozer that's needed, the tractor that's needed, the insurance, like
Huge money.
yeah, like when you get down to it at the end of the month, like you're lucky if you're breaking a $12,000 bill, like for all your equipment and everything. Like if you can meet $12,000, that's like bare minimum of where you need to be. So it's like then collect a paycheck on top of that. Like you better make sure riders are coming. So it's like there's not a ton of money to be made, but I'm so passionate about it that I don't need to be rich. Like I don't
Right.
need to have crazy things to like live happily. I just like waking up and going into the dozer, putting my headphones on, calling my friends, being on the sticks, like bopping around, talking shit, doing whatever, and like not worried about like, oh, is there a guy in a skid steer I'm gonna back over at Monster Jam? You know, like it's, I enjoy doing it. I enjoy talking to riders about what they liked and didn't like. Like it's a passion, so I don't mind living a modest life for that. So
Yeah.
like,
Start a race team, bub.
no thanks. I'm good.
Start a race team, he said.
Even he knows that's a dumb idea.
my dad dabbled in that, which is the freestyle thing.
Yeah, I remember the
Dude.
Jägermeister.
Yeah, Jägermeister KTM.
That was-
Jägermeister.
Those bikes look so sick, though.
Dude, the Jägermeister thing, like there's so much that people probably don't realize about that. When you think about it, think about Jägermeister.
I just remember my dad walking to that RV and falling right out the steps. He was so drunk.
we had
That's all I remember from the
cases
Jägermeister
of Jaeger.
KTM.
But you have to think like you had, obviously I was underage with the Jägermeister graphics. We had like at that, well, right when me, RJ, Robert Devenall bat, we broke off and did that KTM amateur team. But before that, I was running amateur Jaeger graphics, and Alessi was on obviously the full pro team, but he's signing posters and handing it to children.
Yeah.
So like there was lawsuits of him promoting or soliciting alcohol to minors. Like there was a lot of stuff that
Dude, remember
went
back
in.
when the
McGrath did it
freaking
with Bud Light.
Bud Light KTM with McGrath?
Did they get sued?
Oh, it was a different. I mean, that was.
It was
I
a
mean,
different.
I guess
It's a
different
different
time.
era
This was the-
when kids were allowed to drink Bud Light, dude.
Yeah,
This was-
just like them taking Marlboro out of NASCAR.
Yeah,
Now you
I
drink
mean-
Bud Light, you turn into a girl.
back when America was America.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. No, that was fun. That was
No, you're still a man, dude.
Yeah, well,
that
I
was
was
a good
drinking
time.
Jaeger, not Bud Light.
No, you're still a man, but you turned into a girl.
No, like that was a crazy time, but that was like a super cool thing that I got to experience because, like, I mean, dude, it was just awesome.
I hope your relationship with Mosaic is okay because I'm a contributor of Mosaic, and that's how I discovered Tampa MX.
Really?
Yeah, I swear, dude. I got off the road.
What does that
racing.
mean, a contributor?
Well, I don't know if the relationship is good or not. I mean, Mosaic's not the best for the state of Florida,
No.
but I was a.
Oh,
I
you're a
got,
supporter.
No. I got off the
I'm
road.
still confused.
I became a lowboy driver for heavy equipment, in Tampa, and I had to haul a big excavator to Mosaic at that back gate, and I come rolling in there and I'm like, what in the hell is this? There's a dirt bike track right here, and it said Tampa MX or whatever, but that's how I
Tampa MX is
discovered
cool,
Tampa
dude.
MX.
Tracks are closing. I mean, I grew up at Sunshine.
Yep.
Closed.
Yep.
I mean, that was a Chisholm's key track. McFarland. All these.
That's the biggest struggle right now. I mean, when you see, and it's just like what you're talking about, the permitting thing, right? So like once the county gets involved and something's not worded right, something's not done right. I mean, trust me, we had extensive conversations and still to this day are having conversations with
I
our
can't even
county.
get a room permitted in the back of my house. Nonetheless, it is dirt bike track.
So,
ridiculous.
I mean, you guys rode it today. I'm glad we got to invite you up and check it out. But, we're surrounded by chrome on 3 sides.
Doesn't make any sense.
Doesn't matter. that,
Middle of nowhere.
It doesn't make any sense.
We've got
that doesn't
one,
make any sense.
one specific neighbor that
Yes.
is just creating a problem for us. And still to this day, after we went through all this stuff at the beginning, it's like, come on.
You
man.
guys moved onto Kroom's property pretty much.
pretty much.
I mean, and you're complaining about
It's
noise.
just nuts that, like, in this day and age, common sense does not prevail.
No.
No.
That's crazy to me.
It's
With any
unbelievable.
with any situation.
The good thing is that we do have a great relationship with the county. We have a very open line of communication. We've invited them to our property. They've seen it. We've had bikes on the track when they're there. So the communication is very good. So I'm not in any concern right now. But it's just one of those things. Like, why do you have to deal with that in today's world? You know, like
That's how it is.
you got 40 acres out there.
well,
You can't do what you want on 5 acres out of the 40.
At 83, I'm not going to tell you which neighbor. I know which neighbor. Whatever, doesn't matter. But I was on the skid steer. You know, I was working on the Supercross track, and I came down off the track and blindsided me at was it FWC, the wildlife.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
FWC.
Boom! Like right in front of my skid steer with the lights on and everything in the middle. Like just came onto the property, and the guy's like, "Get out of the skid steer!" And I was like, "What?" And he was like, "I hear you've been slaughtering box turtles out here." And I'm like, what?
Box turtles.
Or is it box turtle?
Gophers.
Gopher turtle,
Okay.
whatever.
Gopher
I don't know,
tortoise.
Gopher tortoise. And I'm like, I haven't killed no turtles, dude. And it became a big thing. Obviously, those things are protected, and I understand why. I mean, I love animals. But I
You're
literally
out there slaughtering them.
Yeah, why are you killing the turtles?
so like even though you get the permits and all this stuff is passed, the people still screw with you, and it's like that lady knows, or those people know that I'm not killing turtles.
Had you even seen a gopher tortoise up until that point?
There is habitats out there, yes, and nobody's ever screwed with them, and I had to walk the guy around and show him each one, and then it's not screwed with or whatever, and the guy ended up high-fiving me at the end of the conversation, but I'm like, for real, like do you look like a turtle killer? Dude, come on, dude. Like,
Dude, you're a straight up serial turtle killer.
you're
you
a
look
turtle
like a
killer,
turtle.
but I'm on a supercross track, you know, and there's no
That's been there
turtles.
for
That's
years.
been there for ages.
My only like rap sheet on, I guess you could. I wasn't an adult yet, but I did get in trouble with the law once. And in
You don't have to
Brooksville-
tell us this story, dude.
No, this one's a good
okay.
one because
All
it's
right,
like.
all right.
Have you ever heard of Lake Whitehurst?
No.
Yep.
So you probably have.
Yep.
So Lake Whitehurst, this big dried up lake bed, black dirt, like the sickest turn track. And I used to ride out there with RJ. Will's been out there with me. Like we've all been out there. And
I've been
rode.
out there, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I brought you too.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, there was like, we would go out there and do motos. I had a sick turn track. Well, at one point, I had gotten a skid steer out there and built. And this was when I was racing arena cross, and I built a gnarly set of whoops. Well, at that point, I had like a Chevy S10, and I drove it out there with a shovel to like fix the whoops because they were cupped out. And I'm out there the one day with a shovel, like fixing the whoops up, and a cop pulls up. And I'm like, oh no, here we go. And he's like, what are you doing? And I was like, oh, just like being a jokester, a 16-year-old kid. I was like, I'm burying bodies. And he was like, you think that's funny, son? Like, I'll have you dig up this whole place. So like at the end of it, he asked me if I had ever been out there before and got a warning. And I was like, no, never got a warning or anything like that. Well, I had like 7 warnings, but I didn't know that they like documented them. So I drive my bike back to my house, and I'm sitting there, and dude, the cop rolls up, infuriated, puts me in cuffs, everything. Like I'm in the front of the house, and I'm like getting arrested because like I was riding my dirt bike at this lake bed. He finally did let me, like he didn't actually take me to jail, but I got a written arrest. I had to do this PTI prevention program, which I had to pay like $90 every time I went. It was nuts, but I got all that because I was riding my dirt bike on a lake bed.
Yeah.
It's like I could have been doing so much worse stuff.
We had a place called Behind the Hospital where I grew up, and it was behind a hospital, obviously.
Really?
What a name.
That's what
Wow.
we used to call it, but we
Would never have guessed
we rode
that.
there a lot.
So
and cops
cryptic.
would come every time. Cops would be there every time. I mean, I can't even tell you how many times a cop. I mean, I ran from them every time, and they never caught me. But
Yeah.
we weren't doing nothing wrong. I've stopped, obviously, like on the Surons and stuff. I ride the Surons now. They come up to us all the time, but they don't really. I mean, we stop, we talk to them, whatever. But
Yeah.
they're super cool. They don't really care now. But yeah, dirt bikes, noise,
It just
neighbors.
depends on the cop, honestly.
I've
Yeah.
gotten in trouble by one
It's
too.
the same thing when I tow the dozer. I'm like white knuckled the whole time because I'm in a dually towing a dozer on a gooseneck.
Yeah.
And like I've talked,
That's how we do it.
I've talked to my trooper buddy, and he's like, dude, it just depends on the cop, honestly. Like if he's a cool guy, he'll just let you go if you got everything strapped down good. But if not, like you're gonna be in trouble. So
Well, I want to extend on the talking about passion going towards the race team. I want to give a bit of an update right there. But before I get into that, Verified Graphics, Tampa MX, follow them on their socials. Verified Graphics is website's Verified Graphics spelled out co.com. And then Jack, what is the socials for Tampa MX?
I believe it's Tampa MX track. on Instagram and Facebook.
Okay, and if not, you can Google it because I looked it up
Yeah.
and it popped right up. So anybody that's trying to find any info from either one of them, check them out online, check them out on their websites. Same thing goes for anybody that's listening to the podcast on any of the different platforms, watching us on YouTube. Make sure you follow us, Future MX, on all of our different platforms. We've got TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook. That stuff matters. And I can't stress enough, go, even if you already follow us, go steal your dad's phone, go steal your brother's phone, go steal your son's phone, and make them follow us also. Because I was having a conversation this
What about
week.
her sister? I mean,
Find hers.
yeah.
She's probably got a big password protection.
Yeah, listen, don't look at your sister's phone.
But one of the conversations I was having this week with one of the sponsors boiled down to how many followers do you have? And it was like, well, when you add up all of our different platforms between the TikTok, which is the highest right now, and then the rest of them are growing, we're just shy of 25,000 followers. And he was like, okay, well, unfortunately, because it's late in the year, budgets are set at the beginning of the year. We don't have a budget in place right now. If your social media following was a little bit higher, then maybe we'd try and do it. So why I'm saying that to you listening, whether you're watching or listening, follow us and try and get everybody around you to follow us, because we truly need those to continue this race program and help these kids that we intend to help and go racing. So with that being said, working on some new sponsors. We haven't nailed them all down yet, but once we get those done, we'll announce them and tell you our 24 and 25 plans. We do got some new merch. Anybody that's looked on our socials that currently follows us, and if you don't, start following us and look it up. But we'd like to try and start a merchandise sales page where we've got hats, T-shirts, pit shirts, lanyards, umbrellas, canopies, bike mats, anything. I mean, any of that stuff that we could do. We can put up a team kit. If anybody wants to purchase a team kit through Verified, we can link to that.
Are you planning on launching that?
I don't know, Tyler. What do you think?
I mean, let's launch it. Like, let's go.
Well, we just got some cups. As you can
Episode
see.
44 is coming up, man. Like, we got to say, hey, yo, everybody, it's launched.
Well, when you see that, we just got the cups in today. We just got the umbrellas in today.
Umbrellas.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was checking it out over there, man. It's pretty nice stuff.
Yeah, we got some 20-ounce tumblers that got our logo on it with a black
I know the
cup.
tents would be nice. Tents would be cool.
Tents would be nice.
Mats would be cool.
Anybody that wants them. The new hats are definitely coming, but I have to secure a deal on that, which we should know next week.
That's a new hat, no?
This one is the
Newish, yeah.
Yeah, the newest one with the white stitching, but the one that's coming out is going to be completely different.
Oh, nice.
But we're working on that too. But like I said, if we can get some merch out there, the other thing you can see, on the table if you're watching or if you're listening, we've got a relationship with AMSOIL. AJ built a really cool sample kit that we're working with AMSOIL on. Well, we would like to try and be, the local AMSOIL guy. Like if you need AMSOIL stuff, reach out to me and I can get it for you.
Yeah.
I mean, I've got a master dealer that's right down the road from us, and between taking stuff in the semi and going to the races, if you need Dominator, if you need 10W40, or if you need chain lube, or you need
The best thing about AMSOIL too, RJ, which they're a well-known great company.
Sure.
It's not just for dirt bikes. It's for
it's everything.
Chainsaws. I used to use AMSOIL, really good AMSOIL for my Harley. It's a good company.
We use it out at the facility right now. We use the hydraulic fluid and the equipment. We've got all kinds of brake cleaner, degreaser. I mean, they've got anything down to car automotive stuff. Like they've got spray on wax now. They've got wash and wax stuff. I mean, there's a ton of stuff that AMSOIL has. So we're working with them about being like, not necessarily a distributor, but basically an access point.
Yeah.
So we're working through that. And could potentially anything like that, like merchandise sales, or if we do sell AMSOIL, or any of that stuff would go 100% right back into the race team to try and help keep it going and cover the massive expense. I mean, I sent Kyle basically a 2024, 2025 estimated rough budget the other day.
Yeah.
And I think it would probably blow most people's minds if they knew what that number was. I mean, when you
They
start
have no
talking
idea.
about flights.
I know.
that Hollywood in 1 year spent over $100,000 on myself alone.
Yeah, that's
And
one rider.
In one rider, 1 year with a rig,
Yep.
bikes, racing.
Yep.
Over $100,000 in 1 year.
Yeah, which is about right.
Amateur. Amateur.
That's about right per rider.
per rider. Yep.
So when you do that times 4 or 5 riders,
Yep.
times that number you just
It's a
said.
lot of money.
That's $500,000, dog.
Yeah.
It's a lot
It's a
of money.
passion, baby.
So
Not my passion. But you know, I mean, dude, listen, I love motocross or whatever. It's not my passion to spend $500,000 a year, but the best thing about it is the passion is helping out young riders that you're trying to freaking get, come up, and
that's why
that's why it's called future motocross.
He's done both, but that's why I love, even going back to what Jack was saying earlier, they're amateur kids. It's just, to me, helping them succeed is like,
and seeing the growth.
Yeah, it's a little
like
kid.
when you do the pro stuff, which we've done. It was awesome. I love going to the stadiums. I love the atmosphere of Supercross. It gives you that feeling. Oh, we've made it. We're here. AJ, you were with us in Tampa.
Yeah,
that was so cool to be. To do press day at 5 a.m. under the stadium lights of Raymond James Stadium. I mean, the feeling is phenomenal. The problem is the results and the gains you don't see.
Yeah.
Right? Because like if you've made it pro, you're there. Like,
and then he took me back, and I was like, God, how did this guy talk me into coming back here?
Yeah,
that
was the last time you drove a truck.
But honestly, that weekend was fun. Actually,
it was a
that was a badass weekend.
I love them. Like when we went to Dallas or we went to Houston, Atlanta, Daytona. I mean, every one of them is so much fun, and that's what sucks you into it. Like, dude, once you're in, you're not getting out.
Yeah.
But
it's good.
And even on the amateur side thing, like we've got the stuff to do it now. We've got the truck, obviously, we've got the facility, and we want to help these kids, and that's where Future MX started and came from, was giving a kid a potential future in the sport of motocross. I mean, we're not guaranteeing it, but we're giving a kid a potential, whether they may or may not have the means. AJ was talking about. I mean, a family that has a business that goes under or burns down, whatever it may be, jumping in to help that guy, or taking a kid that you can see has great potential, but maybe he's on some older, worn out bikes, and then getting him something fresh, and obviously bringing Kyle involved in the facility and having them the ability to get educated and how to improve, speed, fitness, workout program, whatever. That's where you see the big gains. I think that's where, Jack, you see the success, and like once they make that move or that step up, you're like, oh man, that's where it's at.
Yeah, like that's when I hear your stuff, Future MX, like you think about, like at this table, we've all have a lot of experience. And like for me, it's those kids that are like, when their parents are talking to you and they're super excited and they're like, oh, I'm 13 years old and we want to go race B class. And it's like, hey, you've never been to Loretta's. How about we go in the 12 to 15 125C? And it's like that title could change your entire trajectory, because I truly believe when that kid wins that title and he's standing up on the podium at Loretta's with a #1 plate, that changes his mindset right there.
Mental.
That's a feeling that changes everything.
Well, and not only that, but then that title right there, instead of going into B and getting 30th, you're sitting there winning, and then you've got all these teams that are like, well, we need a B rider for next year.
Yeah.
That kid just won C. If he progresses throughout this next year again, he could be a potential contender in B.
And that's the best thing about having people like you guys that are like giving those riders insights, where you're taking that local talent out of Dade City and you're like, look, you haven't gone to that national level yet. You don't need to race B class. Let's keep you in C. Let's get you a title. Then let's grow you and build you. Like, there is time to do this.
Yep.
Where when you're talking about that pro rank, when you're with a guy and you're sitting there on the line, he's kind of already experienced all that and he's past that point, and now he's like in it. He's with the Sharks, and it's like, listen, buddy, you got to swim fast or you're going to get eaten.
Yeah, and truly, and not beating around the bush, in the pro stuff, if you're not one of the elite level guys, they're not giving you any attention.
It's hard to climb through.
It's rough. I mean, they're not giving you any attention at all. But we put some posts up. We've received a ton of resumes, and I want to apologize right now in front of everybody on these platforms that there's people that we're not going to be able to respond to. I mean, there's just been so many resumes between our different social media channels, specifically our emails blown up. But we are working on trying to nail down, the sponsorship deals to figure out what we can provide and offer. And then hopefully within the next, couple weeks, 2 weeks or so, maybe even by the next episode that we put out, we can talk about it. But the one thing I want to put out there right now is follow us on all the social medias, subscribe to us on YouTube, because we need that to be able to do this. And the other thing is, if there is anybody that is interested in sponsoring the team, we are continuously looking for sponsors to try and help keep this thing going. And we have levels all the way from a podcast episode sponsor to a one race event sponsor, all the way up to title sponsor for the whole year. So anybody that's interested in getting involved, sponsoring the team, feel free to reach out to us, either the website, email, any of our social media channels. We'll try and figure out when we can get the merch up online. I haven't figured all that out yet. Tyler's working on that.
Yeah,
If it's-
you'll get it.
We could make the rig anybody's logo, not even AMSOIL.
Easy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we can
I
do
mean, we put the
any
sample
logo.
up online of AMSOIL, which AJ did that sample, but we put the sample up online of AMSOIL, but that was just a sample. I mean,
Yeah.
basically what we're trying to say is, we can change that thing. We can use either the base wrap, and at the same time, truthfully, we could rewrap the whole thing.
Absolutely.
The thing, what I'm trying to do, and Kyle and I talked about this last week, I would like to try and have everything nailed down in place by October 1st. That's kind of my goal, because then that gives us October for team apparel, pit shirts, hats, changes, because we're talking about changing brands right now from our previous year to what we're going to potentially ride on next year. But we could get that stuff done before you're in the amateur world. Your first big race is Minios. So right now we're kind of in the off season, if you want to say that. And we have time to get rewrap stuff, reupholster, change our layout and our structure, which we're already working on. You can see that there's different colors and things that have come out that we haven't used before. So, anybody,
My sticker's not a sponsor. We're not even open yet.
but you're gonna be.
But that's why I'm opening it, because I'm trying to make enough money so I can
What is a
sponsor.
realistic date for Twisted Oak venue to be open?
October 1st. October 1st. And so like next October, we'll talk about sponsorship maybe. How about,
Yeah, the Twisted Oak venue coming to Dade City, Florida, downtown Dade
Yeah,
City.
I've been plugging it. I told 2
You
people
did?
today. Yeah, that it's coming.
Thank you.
It's
Yeah.
a wedding venue?
No,
No. It's a live music venue, beer and wine bar, and guitar sales, like music instrument sales as well.
Nice.
So a lot of
Where at, Shane?
downtown Dade City on 7th Street.
There you go.
Yes.
Well, I appreciate you guys coming out. Anything you want to wrap up with before we go? We got AJ Meadows, Verified Graphics, again, Verified Graphics spelled out, co.com, and then Tampa MX, Jack Sigismondi. You can look at him in all the different social media platforms, Instagram, Facebook. They also have training schools on Tuesday night and then practices Wednesday, Saturday, Sunday. Every now and again, throw in a little pit bike race or money race, whatever it may be. But Jack, AJ, anything you guys want to add?
I don't think so. Anything you want to say, Jeff?
Any cool stories did you need to? Like something wild?
Oh, dude.
Come on, man. I mean, it's, hey,
Listen, if we
hey,
got one-
there's children. There's
we
children
got-
that listen.
we got-
There's children that listen though.
Want to share?
I'm good. I can't share. There's stuff we can't share.
There's-
I
We'll
think
talk about that off the
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of stuff that me and RJ can't share either.
We'll
But
talk about this here in a little bit.
hey, thanks for coming on, guys. You guys are
Appreciate
fun.
it, man. It's awesome.
Yeah.
It's fun.
I appreciate you guys being here. Please make sure you check them out. Everybody else, make sure that you follow us on all the social media platforms. I'm going to pound it into your head. That way it can get done. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Kyle, Sugar Shane, I'm RJ Huss. Thanks for listening.